What is going on, YouTube? Haven't done a video in a while, but life has gotten in the way, lots of movement going around. Regardless, I wanted to get a video out about a quick project that I've been meaning to do for the longest time. So all these blasters on the wall are some of my favorite builds, and a lot of them just have problems. So the Doomsayer, I need to add in a dart stop, as darts get sucked into the plunger tube as it rotates, causing a jam. And that has been frustrating. It's a kind of a pain of a blaster to remove, just with all the screws and everything and all the parts that you have to kind of finagle in there. But I got that just recently cleaned out, relubed. It's hitting about 180, 185, which is really awesome for that blaster. The AT3K here, I want to make a kind of a dart ramp for the inside so that darts just don't get dropped in there by accident. So that's something that I'm also looking at, as well as the revisit where I'm 3D printing this whole rotation mechanism. That is actually still in the works. I just haven't gotten around to redesigning it. As the first iterations, I do like where it has gone, but it needs a change, and I'm still looking for ideas. The PAS, or the POS, one of the internal parts has broken, so I am either looking to source another part for that or make something myself out of aluminum. Those are kind of on the to-do list at some point. But the other one, which is gone from the wall right there, that is my Raider AT3K, and that one had been shelved for the longest time, and wanted to just get something done this weekend and concentrated on that. So let's dive into the build itself and the updates that I've done. So for those of you who aren't aware what a Raider is, it is an older Nerf blaster that was a reverse plunger. It had a side mount for the darts, great form factor. It had a front grip that you prime back to load and then forward, and then you would keep firing. And it had, I think it was one of the first ones that introduced the drum magazine, which people really loved. People tried to get it to be Stefan compatible. I think there were some minor successes. Can't be sure, but it was such a fun blaster that, you know, it had the space that people tried to integrate other things into it. And at the time, the AT3K was one of the more powerful air blasters or pump blasters, and the tank itself is pretty small. So my attempt was to basically integrate an AT3K tank into this shell, and that was accomplished thusly. So basically this tank is here and it is glued in and with a pump. In my original build, and I will post a link to the video as well as the Nerf Haven write-up guide that is surprisingly still there, pictures from Photobucket still there. So you can go check those out. I'll have the links either up, and they'll also be down in the description. But so as you can tell, the tank is there. It has glued in a piece of PVC and has a Hornet tank down here. The original build, I had made a homemade pump out of PVC and some dowel rod, just to kind of see if it would work. Just at the time, I wasn't able to have to be able to source this type of pump. And once I found that, included this into the build. And for this part here, it had a breech so that you could open it and feed in a dart. I did also have a length of CPVC to open that up, but that broke. So then I tried to use this area here to be able to put a handle, and that worked as well, but then that broke. And that's when this went right up to the wall, and I said, you know what, I'll figure it out later. But overall, this design works really well. It was very simple. You can see here the release rod itself was attached in here, and then the trigger would basically move on this rod that would pull it back, releasing all the air. Anyway, there will be pictures and maybe some overlays, and obviously link where you can get more details on how I built this way back when. So what needed to be fixed? Well, there was surprisingly a lot of electrical tape that I didn't realize that was all over this build. So removed all the electrical tape and tried to clean up all the parts. So one of the main areas that needed attention was the barrel. So this is the original barrel and breech from the blaster itself. I think it had 3 different areas of electrical tape and glue residue on it. So all of that needed to get filed off, sanded off, and then repolished so that this slides well. It's not the perfect fit, but it works as well. So this is the original barrel to the build itself. The end here needs to fit into the PVC, and originally I had just wrapped electrical tape, put in glue, and that worked perfectly fine. I didn't want to use that method again, and I tried to 3D print a spacer. That had some weird issues, so I ended up actually putting in heat forming this piece of clear PETG. This is the same material we use for the barrels here on the AT3K. I had some spare ones, so I was able to fit that. And this makes a pretty close spacer. It's not exact, but I think with glue around here, 2-part epoxy, I think it'll be fine, airtight, and all that. Now, I don't generally like to glue in everything. I prefer mechanical fasteners just so that everything can be removed. But in this case, with this build, most of it is glued. Obviously, the tank is glued in. So I figured, you know what? We'll do some glue and that'll be okay. And it will just be for this breech, small breech area into the tank, and that should be fine because the barrel itself, I will be able to remove if the barrel gets damaged, and we'll be able to do that. The other thing that this had was in this area here for darts. I did have these pieces of styrene that made ramps in here so that you won't lose a dart when you're trying to feed it, and I figured that also needs an update. So what did I do on those cases? I was able to, one, print this spacer. This fits loosely along the barrel so that the barrel can slide through it. And this is actually used with the front. This will get placed somewhere, basically shoved right into the middle here, and that will allow the barrel to be centered to the front muzzle. The other piece that I had printed was basically a way to open and close the breech. I didn't want to use a handle in here again, even though there is enough space. I figured this would just be cumbersome. So I wanted to make use of this area here. So I printed out these 2 pieces. Basically, this fits into the groove this way so that you could have a handle attached to this, and it will slide back and forth. And obviously you had this piece here which mates up these together, and then this will slide onto the barrel, and then obviously we have to secure this whole mechanism to the barrel so that it can move everything forward. And again, I'll probably 2-part epoxy this to the barrel, and if the barrel does need to be removed, I can obviously just get a new brass barrel, reprint this, and I'm back in business. As to the handle itself, I wasn't sure exactly what to use, but I did have this guy. This is a priming handle mainly used with the Nerf Longshot, the old Nerf Longshot, and I had this laying around, so I decided, you know what, if this fits, which it does, this will now be used in conjunction with the blaster. And I should have unscrewed this beforehand, but as you will see, this kind of fits in there. So it will have that kind of a profile, and you'll be able to slide this back and forth to open and close the breech. So there are all those parts, everything is cleaned, and last, this is the new dart slide. So this basically fits on here, so it's meant to go in between everything there. So you can see it's got a nice area so that when this opens and closes and you stick your dart in there, you've got a kind of an enclosed space so that you won't lose the darts anywhere inside the blaster shell. So as you can see, that just kind of fits along there. And I'll probably, again, kind of just do some dabs of glue along the bottom, along the top, on the insides, and then that will be just fine. So there are all those pieces put together, and I will get them all done and then come back and you can see the completed blaster. Hey there. So some time has passed for me, not for you, but I have gone ahead and made all the connections and the glue for this setup. So you can see in here, well, one part I've got the spacer in here, which is just jammed right in. It's such a tight fit, doesn't need any glue, but the priming handle and arm have been glued to the barrel. The dart guide here has been glued in place. So now you've got a nice area in there and darts won't be coming out. So with those three pieces in, let's put this all together and see how it performs. Phew! All right, so that is all put together. As you can see, still has a pretty nice form factor. I do wish that these were not so obtrusive, but I think overall they look great. You can't really see them because they're black as well. So, and it's nice that you can open and close the breech from either hand. So that is always nice because before you were only able to open this up. So, you know, I'd be firing and then trying to open and close this. But now that you can open and close the breech, it's got some nice action. It's a little stiff, but I'm sure we can work with that. So I have not actually tried this out since I have put all of this together. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll open up the breech, slide in the dart, close it up. About 7. Woo! Still has a great little pop to it. And yeah, I am really super happy how this came out. I'm glad that this will be able to be put back onto the wall in a working order. And I'll run through some tests and get you guys some numbers on this. All right, so I have set up right here is my little chrono. Like I said, this takes about 6 to 7. I'll have to, there you go. We'll have to probably do about 6 or 7 pumps for this. All right, so recap. I was getting everything set up with the chronograph and blaster, and suddenly the air wouldn't hold in the tank, and it's like at that time every nerfer's dreaded thing where the tank doesn't hold the air any longer, and I was so mad in that I put everything together, and basically the one thing that had been glued in from the start is now completely useless. Diagnosed it, but the pin, that comes out the back, it's bent in such a way that connects to the trigger, and that had been kind of skewed off to one side, so it was completely open. So I took it apart, tested, everything worked. I put it back together. It still didn't work, so I had to kind of finagle the position of that wire, and now fires successfully. So nice to know that all of this work I had put in still allows this to be used. I have found that opening and closing with this handle on the opposite side kind of skews the barrel a little bit, so it doesn't exactly engage inside the brass area here. So it closes before it should. Like, it should have just a little bit more travel right there, as you can see. So I may flare the mating piece up just a little bit so that it allows that to go in, or essentially kind of push in the barrel a little bit, just so that when you open and close from this side, it can do that. But phew, let's get you guys some numbers on this blaster. All right, so first start is loaded in, and 6 pumps. Uh, 176. Next start. Close it up. Six pumps. 130. And we'll try a heavy. Let's try another heavy. Six pumps. 160. And we'll try one more with a regular dart. And this time we'll go 7 pumps. That is 165. So there you go, the Raider AT3K, 3K Raider, Raider 3K. I forget actually what I called this thing, but this thing is now ready to be displayed on the wall, used in battle. Can't wait to use this thing when it's much warmer. Hope you guys had fun with this little nostalgia project, and hopefully we'll get one of these other guys updated as well, and I will make another video on that. All right, guys, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.